Here's something that might surprise you. Americans spend over $600 million each year on collagen supplements. And according to research published in the Journal of Cosmetic Dermatology, most of those powders contain hydrated collagen peptides that have been processed at temperatures exceeding 200 degrees F. Now, I'm not here to tell you those products don't work at all, but I am going to show you 3 whole food sources that deliver collagen alongside nutrients you simply cannot get from a scoop of powder. These foods have been consumed for centuries across cultures that didn't have access to supplement stores, yet maintained remarkably healthy joints and skin well into older age. Today we're talking about food-based collagen strategies that research suggests may offer advantages that go beyond what isolated peptides can provide. Stick with me because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why context matters when it comes to collagen nutrition. Diane, a 68-year-old woman, has been taking a popular collagen supplement for 8 months. She's spending about $45 every month, and while she thinks her skin might look slightly better, she's not entirely sure. Her knees still bother her on the stairs, and she's wondering if she should double her dose or try a different brand. Diane represents millions of older adults who are doing something for their health, but aren't quite sure if they're getting the best return on their investment. Here's what makes this scenario interesting from a nutritional standpoint. Diane is consuming isolated collagen peptides, which are fragments of the original protein. She's getting those peptides, but she's missing the mineral matrix, the glycosaminoglycans, and the coactor nutrients that naturally accompany collagen and whole food sources. This isn't about Margaret making a wrong choice. It's about understanding what else is available. Here's what we know from the research. After age 30, your body's collagen production begins declining at a rate of about 1% per year. Studies published in Clinical Interventions in Aging indicate that by age 60, you may have lost up to 30% of your baseline collagen stores. That decline affects skin elasticity, joint cushioning, gut lining integrity, and even bone density. Now, collagen supplements may help address some of that decline, and several studies suggest they can improve skin hydration and reduce joint discomfort in some individuals. But here's the part that deserves your attention. Research in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition has shown that collagen synthesis doesn't just depend on collagen intake. It requires vitamin C, zinc, copper, sulfur-containing amino acids, and adequate protein status overall. When you rely solely on isolated peptides, you may be addressing one piece of the puzzle while ignoring the rest. The consequence isn't catastrophic, but it may mean you're working harder and spending more than necessary for results that could be achieved more comprehensively through strategic food choices. Now here's the good news, and this is where things get interesting. Food-based collagen sources deliver what I call the nutrient neighborhood effect. When you consume collagen from whole food animal sources, you're not just getting the protein. You're getting the minerals that were embedded in the bone matrix, the glucosamine and chondroitin that naturally occur in cartilage, the vitamin A from organ-adjacent tissues, and the glycine-rich amino acid profile that supports your body's own collagen-building processes. Studies indicate that nutrient synergy, the way vitamins and minerals work together, may enhance absorption and utilization beyond what isolated compounds can achieve. This isn't about rejecting supplements entirely. It's about recognizing that for many people, especially those over 60, whole food approaches offer nutritional density that powders simply cannot replicate. And the most surprising part, these foods are often less expensive, more accessible, and more versatile than the supplements lining pharmacy shelves. So let's talk about the 3 food-based collagen sources that research and traditional dietary patterns both support. I'm going to walk you through each one, explain what the science says, show you how to prepare them safely, and give you realistic expectations about what they can and cannot do. These 3 foods are bone broth, made the traditional way, poultry with skin and cartilage, and gelatinous cuts of meat that include connective tissue. You'll notice I'm not recommending exotic ingredients or hard-to-find specialty items. These are foods available at most grocery stores and butcher shops, and they can be incorporated into meals you're already making. The goal here isn't perfection. It's informed, practical enhancement of what you're already eating. Before we go further, let me be very clear about something. These foods are not medical treatments. They will not cure arthritis, reverse skin aging, or eliminate joint pain. What they can do, according to available research, is support your body's natural maintenance processes when consumed as part of a balanced diet. Results vary significantly based on individual health status, genetics, activity level, and overall nutritional intake. Now let's break down each food in detail. The first food-based collagen source is bone broth, and I want to distinguish this immediately from the boxed stock you find in the soup aisle. Traditional bone broth is made by simmering animal bones, joints, and connective tissue for extended periods. Typically 12 to 24 hours for poultry and 24 to 48 hours for beef or lamb. During this long, slow extraction process, collagen breaks down into gelatin and minerals leach from the bone matrix into the liquid. Research published in the Journal of Renal Nutrition has shown that slow-simmered bone broth contains measurable amounts of calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, and trace minerals, though the exact quantities vary depending on bone type, cooking time, and acidity of the cooking liquid. Studies also indicate that bone broth provides glycine and proline, two amino acids that are conditionally essential, meaning your body can make them, but often not in sufficient quantities, especially during stress, illness, or aging. Glycine, in particular, has been studied for its role in supporting gut lining integrity, promoting sleep quality, and assisting with blood sugar regulation. Some research suggests it may also have anti-inflammatory properties, though more human studies are needed. Here's how to make bone broth properly. Start with a mix of bones. You want marrow bones for flavor and minerals, and joint bones like knuckles, feet, or necks for collagen content. If you're using beef bones, ask your butcher for soup bones or marrow bones. For chicken, use a whole carcass, wings, or feet. Place your bones in a large pot and cover them with cold water. Add 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar or lemon juice. This acidic environment helps extract minerals from the bones. Bring the pot to a boil, then immediately reduce to the lowest possible simmer. You should see only gentle movement on the surface, not a rolling boil. Skim off any foam that rises during the first hour, then cover partially and let it cook. For chicken, 12 to 18 hours is sufficient. For beef, aim for 24 to 36 hours. When finished, strain the broth through a fine mesh sieve. Discard the solids and refrigerate. A properly made bone broth will gel when cold, forming a jiggly, semi-olid texture. That gel is a visual indicator of extracted collagen. Now let's talk about safety and realistic expectations. Bone broth is not a high-calcium food in the way that dairy is. Studies show it contains some calcium, but not enough to meet your daily needs on its own. It should complement, not replace, other calcium sources. If you have kidney disease or are on a potassium-restricted diet, consult your healthcare provider before consuming large amounts of bone broth, as it does contain potassium and phosphorus. If you're taking blood pressure medications, particularly ACE inhibitors, be aware that bone broth's mineral content could theoretically interact with electrolyte balance. So medical guidance is appropriate. Bone broth can be consumed as a warm beverage, used as a cooking liquid for grains or vegetables, or used as a soup base. 1 to 2 cups per day is a reasonable amount for most people. Some individuals report improved joint comfort and better digestion when consuming bone broth regularly, but these are anecdotal observations, not guaranteed outcomes. Research in this area is limited, and individual responses vary widely. The second food-based collagen source is poultry prepared with the skin and cartilage intact, and this is where many people inadvertently waste significant nutritional value. Chicken skin, duck skin, and the soft cartilage at the ends of drumsticks and wings are rich in type 2 collagen, the form most closely associated with cartilage health. Research published in Current Medical Research and Opinion has examined oral type 2 collagen supplementation for osteoarthritis, with some studies showing modest improvements in joint pain and function in certain populations. While eating whole food sources is different from taking isolated collagen supplements, the principle remains relevant. You're consuming the structural proteins your body uses to maintain cartilage integrity. Poultry skin also contains elastin, another structural protein that works alongside collagen, and it provides fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A and vitamin K2, which play roles in skin health and bone metabolism, respectively. Here's a practical example. Gerald, a 72-year-old man, routinely removes the skin from chicken breasts before cooking because he's concerned about fat and calories. Gerald isn't wrong to think about his fat intake, but he may be throwing away one of the most collagen-rich parts of the bird without realizing it. A more balanced approach might involve eating poultry with skin occasionally prepared, using methods that render some of the fat, like roasting or grilling, rather than eliminating it entirely. This isn't about abandoning portion control or ignoring heart health. It's about recognizing that moderate consumption of nutrient-dense animal parts can fit within a health-conscious diet. To prepare poultry for optimal collagen benefit, choose bone-in, skin-on cuts, like thighs, drumsticks, or whole birds. Season them simply with salt, pepper, herbs, and citrus. Roast at 375 to 400 degrees F until the skin is crispy and the internal temperature reaches 165 degrees F. As the bird cooks, collagen in the connective tissue breaks down into gelatin, making the meat tender and creating flavorful drippings. Don't discard those drippings. They contain dissolved collagen and can be used to make a quick pan sauce or added to soups. You can also save chicken carcasses, wingtips, and necks in the freezer and use them later for bone broth. This approach maximizes collagen extraction from every part of the bird. For those concerned about fat content, here's a middle ground strategy. Roast the poultry with skin on to retain moisture and flavor. Then remove half the skin before eating. You'll still benefit from some collagen content and fat-soluble vitamins without consuming excessive saturated fat. Pair poultry with fiber-rich vegetables and whole grains to create a balanced meal. Safety considerations here are important. If you have gout or elevated uric acid levels, be aware that poultry skin and organ meats can be higher in purines, which may exacerbate symptoms in sensitive individuals. If you're managing cholesterol or cardiovascular disease, discuss your poultry consumption with your healthcare provider, especially if you're increasing intake of skin on preparations. Moderation remains key. 2 to 3 servings of poultry per week with skin consumed occasionally rather than daily is a reasonable approach for most older adults. The third food-based collagen source is gelatinous cuts of meat, and this category includes options like chuck roast, short ribs, oxtail, shanks, and brisket. These cuts come from parts of the animal that contain significant connective tissue, which is predominantly type 1 collagen. When cooked low and slow using moist heat methods like braising, stewing, or slow cooking, that tough connective tissue breaks down into soft, succulent gelatin. This transformation not only makes the meat tender and flavorful, but it also creates a cooking liquid that's rich in dissolved collagen. Research in the International Journal of Food Sciences and Nutrition has examined the amino acid profile of slow-cooked meats and found that they provide substantial amounts of glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline, the building blocks of collagen. These cuts also deliver complete protein, meaning they contain all 9 essential amino acids your body cannot produce on its own, along with iron, zinc, and B vitamins that support energy production and immune function. Beverly, a 66-year-old woman, has always purchased lean cuts like sirloin and chicken breast because she believed fattier, tougher cuts were less healthy. Beverly isn't wrong that lean proteins can be part of a healthy diet, but she's missing an opportunity. Gelatinous cuts, when prepared properly and consumed in appropriate portions, offer nutritional benefits that ultra-lean meats don't provide. The key is preparation method and portion size. A 3 to 4 ounce serving of slow-cooked short ribs once or twice a week paired with vegetables and a moderate portion of starch can fit comfortably within a balanced eating pattern, even for someone managing weight or blood sugar. To prepare gelatinous cuts for maximum collagen benefit, start by selecting your cut. For beef, choose chuck roast, short ribs, or oxtail. For pork, select shoulder or shanks. For lamb, try shoulder or neck. Season the meat with salt and pepper, then sear it in a hot pan until browned on all sides. This step builds flavor through the Maillard reaction and isn't strictly necessary, but it enhances the final dish significantly. Transfer the seared meat to a slow cooker, Dutch oven, or heavy pot. Add aromatics like onions, garlic, carrots, and celery along with herbs, like thyme, rosemary, or bay leaves. Pour in enough liquid to come about halfway up the meat. You can use water, bone broth, wine, or a combination. Cover tightly and cook at low temperature. In a slow cooker, use the low setting for 6 to 8 hours. In the oven, cook at 300 degree F for 3 to 4 hours. On the stovetop, maintain a gentle simmer for 2 to 3 hours. The meat is done when it's fork tender and the connective tissue has fully softened. When you uncover the pot, you'll notice the braising liquid has thickened slightly and taken on a glossy, rich appearance. That's dissolved collagen, creating body and texture. You can serve the meat with the braising liquid as a sauce or strain and save the liquid to use as a base for soups or stews later. As it cools, the liquid will often gel, just like bone broth, confirming successful collagen extraction. Here's where portion control and balance come in. Gelatinous cuts can be higher in fat than lean cuts, particularly if you're using beef, short ribs, or pork shoulder. If you're managing your saturated fat intake for cardiovascular health, you can skim some of the rendered fat from the surface of the braising liquid before serving. You can also stretch the meat further by shredding it and using it in tacos, grain bowls, or mixed with legumes to create a complete meal with more fiber and less total meat per serving. Safety and interaction warnings are critical here. If you're taking anticoagulant medications like Warfarin, be aware that vitamin K2 found in animal fats can affect blood clotting. Consistency in your intake is more important than complete avoidance, but discuss any significant dietary changes with your prescribing physician. If you have chronic kidney disease, high protein intake can stress kidney function. Gelatinous cuts contribute to overall protein load, so work with a renal dietitian to determine appropriate amounts. For individuals with diabetes, pairing gelatinous meats with non-starchy vegetables and controlling portion sizes of any accompanying starches helps manage blood sugar response. These are nutrient-dense foods, but they require thoughtful integration into your overall eating pattern, especially if you have existing health conditions. So, why don't you hear more about food-based collagen strategies in mainstream health discussions? There are a few reasons. First, there's less financial incentive to promote whole foods compared to proprietary supplements. Bone broth, chicken thighs, and chuck roast don't have brand names, marketing budgets, or patent protection. Second, preparing these foods takes time and skill, which can feel like a barrier in a culture that values convenience. Supplements promise quick results with minimal effort, and that message is understandably appealing, especially for busy older adults managing multiple health priorities. Third, nutrition science often focuses on isolated nutrients rather than whole food synergy. It's easier to study the effects of a standardized collagen peptide dose in a controlled trial than it is to study the cumulative effects of varied traditional cooking methods across diverse populations. But here's what's worth understanding. Cultures around the world that have traditionally consumed collagen-rich foods, from Chinese herbal soups to French POF food to Mexican caldo de res, have done so for centuries without needing scientific validation. These weren't considered health foods. They were simply food prepared in ways that maximize nourishment from every part of the animal. Research suggests that food-based approaches may offer advantages in terms of nutrient density, bioavailability, and overall dietary quality that isolated supplements cannot fully replicate. This doesn't mean supplements have no place. For some individuals, particularly those with limited appetite, difficulty chewing, or restricted diets, collagen peptides can be a helpful tool. But for many older adults who are capable of cooking and eating whole foods, these traditional preparations deserve serious consideration. Let me bring this together for you. You now understand 3 evidence-informed, food-based collagen strategies that have been used across cultures for generations. Bone broth provides glycine, proline, and a mineral-rich foundation that supports gut health, joint comfort, and overall protein status. Poultry with skin and cartilage delivers type 2 collagen along with fat-soluble vitamins and elastin that support skin and joint structures. Gelatinous cuts of meat offer type 1 collagen, complete protein, and a rich amino acid profile that aids tissue repair and maintenance. None of these foods are magic bullets. None will reverse aging or cure disease. But consumed regularly as part of a balanced diet that includes vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and healthy fats, they can contribute meaningfully to the nutrient intake that supports healthy aging. Here's what you can do today. First, if you're currently taking a collagen supplement, you don't need to stop immediately, but consider gradually incorporating 1 or 2 of these whole food sources into your weekly routine and evaluating how you feel over the next few months. Second, the next time you roast a chicken, save the carcass, freeze it, and when you have 2 or 3 collected, make a batch of bone broth. Third, ask your butcher about gelatinous cuts like chuck roast or short ribs, and try a simple slow cooker recipe this week. These are small, manageable steps that require no drastic lifestyle changes. You're simply adding nutritional value to meals you're already preparing. And fourth, if you have existing health conditions or take medications, especially anticoagulants, kidney medications, or diabetes drugs, discuss these dietary changes with your healthcare provider before making significant increases in protein or mineral intake. Informed collaboration with your medical team ensures safety and appropriateness for your individual situation. You're now more informed than most people about food-based collagen nutrition. You understand the difference between isolated peptides and whole food sources. You know how to prepare these foods safely and realistically. And you recognize that nourishment doesn't always come in a scoop or a capsule. Sometimes it comes from a pot that's been simmering all day, filling your kitchen with the aroma of something truly sustaining. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Are you already making bone broth at home? Have you tried cooking with gelatinous cuts of meat? Or are you someone who's been relying on supplements and curious about making a shift? Share your experience, your questions, or even your favorite traditional recipes that include these collagen-rich foods. Your insights help build a community of informed, thoughtful people who care about aging well. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We're here every week with evidence-based practical information for older adults who want to take charge of their health without getting lost in marketing hype. And speaking of taking charge, next week we're talking about a mineral that over 50% of adults over 60 are deficient in. According to research in the Journal of Nutrition, this mineral affects everything from bone density to immune function to mood regulation. And most people have no idea they're running low. I'll show you the best food sources, the warning signs of deficiency, and the safe upper limits you need to know, especially if you're taking common medications. You won't want to miss it. I'll see you then. Quan Bu. That's Dr. Robert Harrison, Senior Health,